Hello all, my name is Kent Andersen. I am with the North Central Texas Workforce Development Board. How many of you are familiar with your local workforce development boards? Anybody here? Or know what they are? No, not really. There are 28 workforce boards in Texas. There are 3 workforce boards in the North Central Texas region. There's the Dallas County Board, a Tarrant County Board, and the 14 counties that surround Dallas and Tarrant. Workforce boards are in the business of helping put people back into the workplace. Those who are unemployed, underemployed, disadvantaged people in your communities, we help put those people back to work. However, I'm not going to talk a lot about what boards do today because that would be take too long and bore everyone to death. So we won't talk about that, but we will talk about Texas and what's happening in the economy in Texas right now. How many of you have seen this map before? Do you know what this is? Yes, I see you, Scott, back there. This is all the shale plays in the U.S., or not all of them, but many of the large shale plays in the U.S. So you probably are familiar with the Bakken up here, if I can make this work, in North Dakota. You've heard about that, all the oil being pumped out of the ground up there, and what that's done to North Dakota, and the fact that they cannot build enough rail cars to move oil far enough south fast enough. You've heard about the Eagle Ford Shale down here in South Texas. You've heard about the Barnett, because the Barnett happened right here underneath us about 10, 15 years ago. And you know the impact of what energy exploration and production can do to a region when they find energy there. Further along in Texas, the Eagle Ford Shale really started hitting about 5 years ago, and they discovered oil in a place that they had previously not had any oil discovery, and that has completely changed the landscape in South Texas. There are areas south of San Antonio over to Laredo that had previously experienced very little econ development and exploration, are now seeing tremendous population growth. Cities are seeing their populations double or triple almost overnight. It's a huge strain on public works, and it's a huge strain on the actual workforce because there is not a huge workforce development crowd down there, so people are moving into the area to take advantage of the oil discovery, and that puts a strain on all the communities down there. Now in Texas, besides the Eagle Ford, everyone's familiar with Midland, Odessa, and the Permian Basin, but there are some large shale plays out there that are making the Bakken Shale up in North Dakota and the Eagle Ford in South Texas seem like fairly small plays. The Bakken field in North Dakota is estimated to be about 4 to 4.5 billion recoverable barrels of oil. The Eagle Ford Shale in South Texas is estimated to be about the same, between 4 and 4.5 billion recoverable barrels of oil. In West Texas, the Klein Shale, which is this large purple sort of glob right there, that is they've known about it for a long time but have not been tapping it until most recently. And they estimate the Klein will be at somewhere between, I would say, 25 and 30 billion barrels of recoverable oil. So that makes a huge difference in Texas. And this map, what this map tells you, I know it just looks like a bunch of dots and lines, but all those dots on that map are oil rigs drilling for oil. And you see the highest concentration of those dots is in West Texas. Midland sits about almost straight west or east of the corner of New Mexico. So Midland sits right about there, right in the middle of all that. And you've got the Klein Shale sits right over here, another shale formation over here in New Mexico. But you can see, if you've been out there recently, you know what kind of activity is taking place out there. And all of those dots represent hundreds of jobs. And a lot of talent migrates to that part of the state to go to work. And the kinds of jobs that we see in that region, so you've got all of this Permian Basin out here. You've got Eagle Ford down here. I have heard rumors that the the old East Texas oil fields where H.L. Hunt drilled his first well, that area may see a resurgence in drilling as they begin to fracture that shale play as well. So we could see another developing oil field over here in East Texas. Okay, so what does this mean for the entire state? Well, first, the way this has played out, these two oil fields have come online. Eagle Ford first, and then the Permian Basin Shale area second, representing a huge change, a sea change in oil development and oil drilling in the U.S. It has made the U.S. the #1 producer of oil in the world now. We top Saudi Arabia and we top Russia. We're #1 and we're growing very, very fast. The Mexicans have begun drilling in the Eagle Ford Shale formation south of the border into Mexico. They've changed their laws down there, and we'll be seeing a lot of oil development in that part of the world as well. So on this half of the planet, from Canada through the U.S. into Mexico, has a huge volume of oil that we are now drilling and producing. So what happens is that now this oil is being drilled and it has to flow somewhere. So it flows towards the coast. And the oil, they used to unload oil at the coast and pump it inland to refine at refineries in like Big Spring towards the Permian Basin and down around the Eagle Ford Shale area. But now the pipelines have all been reversed to move the oil to the coast, and we're now taking oil from the coast and shipping it to other places for production and for refining. There has been, because of this change, because there is so much oil being moved around now, there has been at least, at this point in time, at least $100 billion in development along the Gulf Coast, all tied to energy and chemical industry, which has led to tens of thousands of jobs that have landed, not just in the Permian Basin and Eagle Ford areas, but have also come along the Gulf Coast. Like Corpus Christi has a huge labor shortage. Houston, the greater Houston area, is almost in crisis mode because they can't find enough people to work in their facilities. And most of the skill levels down here in the Houston area are considered middle skills. So skills that don't require a bachelor's degree, but require maybe a two years degree or a certificate, something like that, somewhere in between there. Heavily manufacturing. The employment change in Texas is hitting the state like a giant wave. What started along the Mexican border in Eagle Ford spread up into Midland, Odessa, spread over to the coastal areas around Corpus Christi and Houston, is now moving inland towards the I-35 corridor like Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio. And even Laredo, places like Laredo, where they previously saw high unemployment for a long period of time, now seeing rates more consistent with the rest of the state. Because they are so close to the Eagle Ford Shale, because they are right on the rail lines that feed goods from China through Mexico into northern Texas and the rest of the U.S. A lot of things have conspired in this state to make it economically prosperous. Just to give you an idea how things look right now, these are unemployment rates throughout Texas. That's Amarillo. And these are the most recent numbers I could find. These came out last week, and they paint a pretty good picture of how things look right in the state. This is DFW. Dallas was at 4.8. I think Fort Worth was at about 4.7, but pretty much the same. Houston, at 4.6. Houston is about, we are told Houston is about 18 to 24 months ahead of us in this current economic cycle. They've been experiencing these unemployment issues and migrating employee issues for quite some time. And because they've had so much development down there, they've seen the problems hit there before they've hit here. But what's hitting Houston, or what has hit Houston before, is hitting us now. That's Austin, 3.8. The highest level in Texas is down around Brownsville, McAllen area at 8.6. Midland's at 2.3. So, and that 2.3 tells a story. They cannot find enough people to work out there. If you want to go work out there, you can work at McDonald's and make $18 an hour. That's what they start. Hotel rooms go for about $300 a night. It's almost impossible to find a place to stay out there. But in terms of North Texas, in terms of the area here where we are, I'm sure you've all heard the news about Toyota coming in the last 2 weeks, bringing with them 4,000 jobs. I picked up, or tried to pick up, some of the most recent jobs numbers I could think of on the top of my head. I didn't go research them. I was thinking of the ones that I know of recently that have happened. 7,000 new jobs in Alliance, Texas. That number right there, the 7,000 jobs in Alliance, represents a bunch of different companies hiring people within that area. The 2,000 jobs is just one company. Nebraska Furniture Mart will be hiring 2,000 employees later on this year to work up there. 10,000 in the region around Richardson, 200 new ones in Rockwall, 1,000 downtown's a very conservative number. I know it's more than that. 500 around the airport, another 4,000. That's Toyota up in Plano. So what's happening here is that people are able to find employment in places that and make a whole lot of money very fast if they're willing to travel to a place like Midland, Odessa, or South Texas. And so demand for them to move and relocate there is very high and very tempting. If you can go to some place like that and put up with it for a year or two, I mean, because I wouldn't want to live there myself, but if you want to put up with that, you can make a significant amount of money in a relatively short period of time, like a year or two.
Do you know what the unemployment rates were, say, 5 years ago to the same areas?
5 years ago, yes, I do. Texas overall was at about 8%. We were running about 5% below the rest of the country. Dallas was at 8 or 9. Houston was about at 8 or 9. And they've gradually come down over the course of the last 5 years. You can tie the changes directly to what was happening out in the Permian and Eagle Ford areas. And you just sort of watch that sort of take hold. And then Midland, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was a little bit lower than DFW. I think they've been pretty active out there for some time, but it just wasn't like it was in California, Michigan, or up in the upper northeast area of the U.S. And a lot of the job gains that we see here in DFW are coming, from relocations from California or New York or Connecticut or wherever it may be, high tax, high regulation states. And the word on the street is that what I have heard most recently is that, since Toyota has decided to come here, there is a flood of inquiries from other companies. I think a lot of them being auto manufacturers around the country are saying, well, Toyota did the research, so we'll just go there. And because the climate here is exceptional, the airport access is fabulous. If you've noticed, there has been a sharp increase in the amount of international connections to DFW, an A380 service coming in. That should be an indicator as to how things are changing here and that this is becoming a much more international market. So look at that as an indicator of what's going to happen in the future. And as many jobs as I've posted up here today, there's another wave just like this coming right behind it. More relocations, more companies, further strain, demand, and opportunities for the people working for you to go to work. So I know I'm not painting a very pretty picture about what employment is going to look like in the future, but what I'm saying is what's happening today, expect a lot more of it, and the opportunities for people to go to work in other places like the Permian Basin area. If you looked at that rig count map that I showed up there earlier, if I can go back there or not. There it is. Those lines that go from one place to another are the direction of movement. So the yellow would be where it came from, and the red would be where it's going to. So that shows the flow of rigs, and it does show a pretty hefty flow of rigs into the Permian Basin area, which is an indicator of what kind of activity is going on out there and how busy it all is. It's not slowing down, and I don't think it's going to slow down for quite some time.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rick Smith. I'm with the University of Texas, Arlington, and I want to thank y'all for inviting us to be here today to talk to you about some of the solutions that we have for Public Works as it relates to the pending mass exodus to the oil fields. Because what's kind of interesting to me is I was talking to one of our instructors just yesterday who's a retired TxDOT employee, and he was telling me how the reason why he retired was he didn't want to move his home, his family, in order to move up. He had paid for his house, and he was content to stay where he was, and so he decided to retire and come to work as a adjunct instructor for the University of Texas, Arlington. So as a counterpoint to what you were making, Kent, a few minutes ago about losing workers to the oil fields, let's not forget about the people that don't want to go. They don't want to travel. They're happy with the community that they live in, and they're willing to stay and work there. So if we're talking about workforce development challenges, that's my contribution. So on behalf of I've got some notes, and if you don't mind, I'm going to refer to them as I talk to you. On behalf of the state or the staff at the University of Texas, Arlington, Public Works Institute, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be a speaker here today, which I've already done, so I'm thanking you twice. Thanks for your patience. From a personal perspective, it's a privilege for me to be here because I just moved here from Georgia. I lived in Georgia since 1983. I worked for the Georgia Department of Transportation for nearly 30 years. And while there, I was the local technical assistance program director, and I was the training director for GDOT. So I gained a lot of experience and developed a lot of relationships in the field of transportation and in public works. So it's a real privilege for me to be here today, and it's a learning opportunity as well, because being here and involved in this discussion, I'm able to learn what some of the challenges for Texas are in the area of public works. So I appreciate that opportunity. Just to talk a little bit about what the University of Texas Arlington has been doing for several years, and that's really in the area of workforce development. For some time now, we've had a partnership with TxDOT where we've delivered training, public works training, to cities and counties and Texas DOT, primarily in the area of work zone safety and heavy equipment operations. Just this year alone, we've conducted 76 classes around the state on work zone safety, on topics anywhere from how to design a safe and proper work zone to how to install and maintain a work zone, and quite a few classes on flagger operations. We've had over 1,100 employees from around Texas participate in these classes, and we're actually on track. We've got actually 60 additional courses scheduled through September, and we're on track to attain or deliver training to over 2,100 of your employees between now and the end of September. The primary reason why I'm here today is to talk about the Public Works Institute. This is a new initiative, fairly new I would say, and the mission of the Public Works Institute is to provide professional development, certification, training, and skills development opportunities to public works professionals. And as you can see from our mission statement, the Institute is a source of professional development for more than streets and highways. Streets and highway professionals. All sectors of public works will benefit from being a part of this institute. And it's really a formula for success. I mentioned a few minutes ago an instructor who's a retired TxDOT employee. Well, I would boast, and I know it sounds like boasting, but I would say that Texas, or the University of Texas Arlington, the Division of Enterprise Development, probably has some of the best public works instructors in the state of Texas. Primarily, our instructors are retired TxDOT employees. We have PEs delivering our training, and we have non-licensed professionals delivering our training, but all of them bring to our classes their years of experience and expertise to the classroom, which is, in my opinion, a very powerful combination when you're trying to develop the skills and the knowledge of public works professionals. In addition to our instructor corps, we offer contract and open enrollment classes. We offer online registration, which is really an easy way to register potential learners. We have single discipline and multidiscipline courses. One of our biggest or areas of interest other than work zone safety are our OSHA classes. And then we have credit and non-credit classes. The Public Works Institute has been getting off the ground for a short time now, but we expect it's going to continue to grow. Some of the subject areas that we're looking at including in the Institute are focused on administrative responsibilities or tasks. We're already highly focused on transportation, streets and roads, but we're also looking at water and wastewater management, utilities, code enforcement, public health and safety, emergency management, and fleet management. This is just a list of the courses that we currently offer in the area of transportation. You might note that safety is high on our list in terms of courses to be delivered and that are being delivered, and heavy equipment operations is a close second, but we're working on growing this curriculum or these offerings to include all the subject areas that I mentioned just a second ago. Now, I don't know how many of you out there are big fans of Stephen Covey, but those of you that are familiar with Stephen Covey and his seven habits of highly effective people, you probably have your own habit that you claim as your own. For me, it's seek first to understand before being understood. But another one that I like is always start with the end in mind. And with the Public Works Institute, the end in mind that we have is for public works employees and professionals to leave the Institute with the certification. So we've identified several certifications that will be available to these individuals.
Hello everyone, I'm Dean. I'm the Public Works Director for the City of Italy. I've been in this field for over 20 years. I hold a water license, wastewater license, certified city manager. I had a lot of employees come and go, but the last 5 years has been tough, real tough. Who here is an actual, or who here has somebody underneath them that they oversee?
That's what?
Who has, can you hear me now? Who has somebody that's underneath them they can actually see? Okay. How many of y'all are close to retirement? That's
Fine close.
next 5 years. Okay. It's become a big issue. A lot of my mentors are retiring, and that there's no one else in place that we know of. We do have some avenues. Kent did hit a few points for me to make me realize that we're going to have even more problems as we go along. My guys are leaving now to go to these oil fields, so I know it well. What can I do to help them or help us keep them here? We do a lot of in-house training. That helps. I believe Arlington does too. They have certified instructors that'll help you out in-house. The CEUs that you talked about, a big issue. If you send your guys off to school, it costs you money, hotel, food, and for smaller systems, it's a big burden. In Public Works, we take one step forward, take 2 steps forward, and then we get to nowhere. It's basically been like this for the last 5 years. You feel like you gain something, and then 2 or 3 of the guys will leave, or things change over, and we're not able to keep who we already trained. The damages that this does. If you're an engineer out here, let's see you fix this one. The state rules and regulations are a problem. Local rules cost us employees every day. Schooling, degrees. There's a lot of in-house PEs now. A lot of in-house PEs. We don't contract out like we used to. Certifications, we have to keep our certifications up. Now the CEU program that TCEQ's put on, all water and wastewater, backflow CSIs. If you have all of those, then you spend most of your time in class. You don't work. So that's a big issue. We talked about the CEUs for it all. The hands-on training. The state also demands that you have a certain length of training. So you go through all the trouble and you bring these people in and you train them, you get their certification, and they'll determine whether or not they want to stay or go. When we got back to the retirement stage, this year in Texas Rural Water, Texas Water Utility, and even TEECS, they'll have on average 6 instructors leave. So who's going to take their place? It's going to open the door more for Arlington for us to go to places like that. Someone's going to have to come up with a better idea of putting new instructors in place so we can meet the needs of that. Who's going to feel the growing tomorrow when it comes to the needs? This is a big struggle. Anybody that's been in the wastewater business, this is the city of Wichita Falls. That's their wastewater plant. They have 3 people that retired after this. And if you've ever been through such that river just basically took over the whole wastewater plant. That's a 23 million gallon, which is still small, a day plant. For 2 weeks went in the creek. They have to be trained. We have to get guys out there that can be trained to handle problems like this, to expect the unexpected. The guys we get trained are getting more money to go somewhere else. So we need to figure out a way to keep them here at home, to basically to keep them here. The race is on. They're leaving us for, they got low pay. Their education may not be there. They feel like it's a dead-end job. get no recognition. They're overworked. A lot of the people that are in public works, streets, water, whatever it may be, parks, our admin, the ladies who are in the office, the more work we do, the more paperwork they have. So everybody's overworked. So that's a good reason for them to leave. They're going somewhere else where they make more money and get to sleep at night. Questions, everyday questions to me. Is it hard to hire your employees? Was it hard to hire them? Well, yeah, it is, because obviously there's more money out there and they can go there. The future of public works. It doesn't look real bright at this point. And the more numbers that we see, Kim put a definite big picture on it. And the numbers that we see are pretty bad. What we discussed in certain areas is maybe putting a panel together so we can talk with one another. I may have a guy that works for me that is more hands-on. So he may be able to go to a different city that says, okay, we're gonna do this task every day, and he may be perfect for that. But if you send him over to me, he's gonna have to learn water, sewer, streets, everything all at once, and a lot of people don't want to do that. So to maybe move or maneuver the people around, keep them, we got them trained. We paid to get them trained. Well, maybe Bob's got somebody that he's got somebody leaving, and this person will fit good there. So let's don't lose them all together. Let's talk to one another and see if we can't shift whoever fits best there. I don't know if any of you have ever seen a concrete water tank being built. This is called a preload system. When I seen this, it looks like a Roman castle almost being put together. Every little board, every piece that's in there is very, very important. When you start putting all this weight up against it, it's very important. We should treat our employees the same way. Come to the, he mows, he takes care of the parks, he does water. All of them are equal. All of them are equal. Some run the water plant, some run the wastewater plant. All those small pieces come together to make a team, and that's the way we should treat them. Keeping your team strong, employee, education, motivation, positivity, leadership, opportunity, evaluations, and expectations. If we put this all on the table when we talk to the individuals and we let them know that they're very important to us, and this is what we want them to understand how important they are to us, and if they have an issue in motivation or whatever, we do whatever we can to move them forward. Instead of losing them, let's put more time into them and see what we can do to keep them. Any of the street guys here, I don't know if there's any street guys here. Back to the engineers then. The picture on the left is a tack machine in the 1900s. That's actually hot oil tack machine. Picture on the right is up to date. We just want to make sure we're moving with times. There's a lot of places that still have older equipment. You ask them to go do a job, a specific job, but yet the equipment that they've got, they can't do this job. So, move with times. I have a lot of employees throughout my career here that are very motivated. They think outside the box. This is a bicycle expressway up over a city. So whoever thought of this was really thinking out of the box. I'm not saying, let's build a new road and somebody come up with the idea of putting the wastewater plant in the middle of the road or over the road, whatever. We'll stay within our means, but let our employees think outside the box a little bit. Maybe they can come up with a better idea or a safer idea to do this. And one of my favorites, a working atmosphere. They must feel like they're not working alone. This is a police boat. that's setting out on dry land. Chief says, guys, go out and, give your tickets, make sure everything's safe. In a week, bring me back your report. Well, obviously, he's not going to be able to do his job, and if you're expecting him to do his job, then everybody's in trouble. So we need to make sure that everybody has what they need. And last but not least, success. You too can own this face of accomplishment. This young man, I don't know where I actually got this picture. If you follow some of these, or if you look at some of these ideals and bounce them off of what's been opportunities you have from different schools, different educations, to the numbers that are actually here, that are in our face, maybe we can network enough together to start maneuvering some of these employees back to us. If we can, we're better off, because if it looks this bad from 5 years ago to now, and 5 years from now, it's going to be worse. We've got to figure out a way to start bringing our employees and keeping them with us. Thank you.